here, Amanita muscaria and the liberty caps, and that the Druids would have put taboos and sanctions around them and only used them in their sacred work and so on. I happen to believe, there's a very interesting book called Shroom by Dr. Andy Letcher, where he goes into this in great detail, and I think he makes a very good case for suggesting that this isn't the case and they weren't used, and that the British mycophobia says more about their cuisine and the way they relate to cooking and food, and the French in distinction, than anything else. But who knows? I don't know. So, any other questions? Yes, more at the back. There's a very fertile little cluster of you down there. Yes, sorry. Yeah. Most people are familiar with the concept of creating your own reality.
So widely available. That too is a form of magic.
That too is a form of magic. Yes, thank you. Yes. And you know that idea of you create your own reality? I think it's always important to include the corollary that we make each other's reality as well. Otherwise, we fall into the big New Age trap of solipsism, of where it becomes very selfish, and it's all about, you can get whatever you like, and you can get what you want. You create your own reality, and then, to hell with everybody else is sort of implicit in that. The fact is we create each other's reality, which is where social responsibility comes in. And that's an aspect that has tended to be put to one side in the growth of the New Age movement. And, you can trace the development of that really through the development of psychology, through, from the beginning of the 20th century through. I think it's been a necessary phase. In the individual sort of growth process, you have to go through a phase where you start to look after number one, because so many of us, give ourselves away and all the rest of it. So a fairly familiar pattern in the individual sort of cycle is that you have to go through a time of where you reclaim your own power and you say, go away to everybody, and you reclaim your strength and all the rest of it. But I think there's a third phase to move into, which is also being concerned about our social impact and so on. So, but I think you're right. Yes, if you look at that whole kind of manifestation stuff, and you create your own reality, it's a fundamentally magical concept. And anybody who's worked with it and has experienced it knows that it does seem to be magical. It really is rather extraordinary the way it works. 4 minutes. Right. Anybody else? Yes.
What would you say was the point of ritual?
What is the point of ritual? Yes. We are all artists, I believe, and we know now that our bodies and our energy field, that we have these wonderful energy fields. We know that there's more space in us than matter, because there's, the gaps between the positrons and the neutrons are vast and all the rest of it. So that we are made up of energy frequencies and so on. We know that. When we come together, we form a field or a matrix. In this room now, if we all had sort of psychic vision or special vision, we would see a kind of sea of color. And if I suddenly scared you and some horrid picture of a monster came up on the screen there, one would be able to see a sort of change in the colors as everybody got upset and worried and all the rest of it. And then if I made you all terribly happy by telling you that a £50 note is waiting for each member of the audience as you leave, suddenly different lights would come on and so on. So we know that we're fields of energy. And that's why the field of complementary medicine is so interesting, because it works with that connection between mind and body. In ritual, when you come together with intention, and it's as if you're artists. So if we were all doing a ritual here together, or if we all did a meditation here together, and we could introduce a little bit of ritual into it as well, like that, you would change the energy field. So the idea of a ritual is it has an intention, and you change the energy field. And in our Druid ceremonies, what we do is we always do our rituals in circles, because we're all equal, and in imitation of the circle of the circumference and of the earth and so on, and the sun and the moon. And we hold hands. And the first thing you notice as you start to do it is that if you stand, a group of 20 of you, and you all stand like this, you feel a certain way. All hold hands and close your eyes, and you can immediately feel this sort of field that you've created. And then if you start to sing or engage in various ritual acts and so on, then it starts to change. So one way, I had quite a bit of difficulty with ritual because a lot of ritual can be empty and pompous and seems to be taking away from the spiritual sort of path in some ways. But I once asked my old Druid teacher, and he said, ritual is poetry in the world of acts. And that says it all, I think. Poetry in the world of acts. So, on that note, I'd like to finish. Okay, thank you.
Philip Carr-Gomm. Thank you, Philip.